day 2 of sewing up some Lori Holt quilt blocks, and today I will be sewing up the baking day block. This paper here was just my little envelope that I had all of my cut pieces in, and all of my cut pieces are laid out back there behind my machine, and so I am going to sew this up and share my progress with you all. I'm just going to see, I think that's probably a good place to put that. Okay, so I am just going to start sewing this up and share everything with you along the way. So J is the spoon portion, and then you have E. And actually we only need 4 of these, so I think I'll put those back. And then these have to get sewn on the stitch line and trim them away. So I'm going to sew all of these on each of these corners, and then I'm going to trim them, and then at the very end I will press them. So this baking day block, I feel like it's really kind of a simpler block because it's just like some big mixing bowls and this spoon, and I think it is so adorable. I don't know if you could like make one whole quilt with all these blocks. I don't know if that would be weird, but for whatever reason, I'm really drawn to the mixing bowl. I think it's so cute. So if you're sewing along and making Lori Holt quilt blocks out of your pattern books, please let me know. And if you're not using like the Farm Girl vintage books, I'm just curious if you're sewing some other Lori Holt quilt blocks. I'd really be curious to know. I think it's fun just to use patterns we already have on hand. Because I feel like, you know, we probably bought the patterns because we love them. So I think it's fun to sew up patterns that I already have on hand personally. Okay, so there's that one. And then, and you can see these flowers kind of go every which way, so I don't feel like this is necessarily directional. Okay, the next step is going to be taking K, which is the handle of the spoon, right here, and taking B, which is this background fabric here, and sewing these 3 together, and then once these 3 are sewn together, attaching it to this handle. And I did look at the book. Let's see if you can see the book. I guess you can't see the book right now. Okay, I did look at the book, and it does look like the handle goes here to the right. And so I felt like this fabric looked better going this way versus like this. I feel like because a lot of those flowers in the middle are upside down. So I'm going to make sure and attach the handle like that to the spoon. So I am going to do that. Okay, I have the mixing spoon. I have a piece of thread here I need to cut, but I have the mixing spoon done. I did have to get out my seam ripper because I didn't like how this lined up. So I did seam rip that and sew that twice. And I thought I would just share with you, this Clover seam ripper is my favorite. I've picked it up at Joann's stores before, and also like my local quilt shop. Several quilt shops I go to have them, but I've also found them on Amazon in like a multi-pack, and I felt like that was the most affordable option, because I feel like if your seam ripper, if my seam ripper, what I learned is if my seam ripper is not working very well, or I'm having trouble getting through threads, I replace it because it does get dull like a sewing machine needle does. So here's a little PSA for you. If you haven't ever replaced your seam ripper, you know, think about replacing your seam ripper because it does need to be done. And it makes like a huge difference, kind of like replacing like a rotary blade or something. It makes a huge, huge difference. So, okay, So the next thing is to make the small mixing bowl, which let me see what fabric I chose for that. That would be, it does say I. So you're gonna take I and E. So what's I? Let's see, this is my I. There's I. And E are 2 background squares. And it says I'm just going to sew them to the bottom corners and trim off and press. So I'm just going to sew them at an angle here. Oh, and once again, I remembered I keep forgetting to get out those leaders and enders. So next time I will have to go get those leaders and enders because I could be sewing up so many little 9-patch blocks. So my leaders and enders, I cut up a whole bunch of 2.5-inch squares, and I am going to make some 9 patches. So are they 9 patches? Yeah, they are. And so I could be doing that right now, but guess what? I'm not, because I keep forgetting, and that's okay. It's not a big deal. When I was doing my Christmas sewing, I realized as well that I kept forgetting to do the leaders and enders. And I just thought I could have all of these 9 patches done. And then I also thought, well, maybe I should just sew up the 9 patches, just sit down and have a sewing session and sew them. But then I thought, no, that kind of defeats the purpose of having leaders and enders. I better not do that. So I have not sewn any leaders and enders for a little bit. Okay, so there's the mixing bowl. It says it's calling it the small mixing bowl. And then the next is back here. So on the side of the small mixing bowl, I'm going to assemble a D. Let's see, to the right. So let's do that. Okay, and then I'm going to press that. I do set my seam, so when the seam's closed, I set my iron on it and get it hot. And then I lift my iron and then I fold my fabric back and press it. So that's what the small mixing bowl looks like. And now it wants me to assemble these 2 together. So I have the wooden spoon and I have the small bowl. And I'm going to pin them and then sew them. I do like these flathead pins I have. I do find that they're more expensive. At least when I last bought them, I kind of thought they were expensive, but I do really like them. And I just got them at Joann's, or Joann. I guess there's no S on the end. Joann fabric stores. And what else do I want to tell you about those pins? Oh, I had some that I thought were getting dull. So if I'm using them and I don't feel like they go through the fabric, I've been throwing away my pins. And then last year, I think I got a new box. It might have been the year before, but if I'm using one and it's not going through my fabric how I like, then I do toss it. Oh, I ran out of bobbin. Or if if one's bent, I've been tossing it as well. So I guess wanted to share that. So I'm using kind of this taupey thread. I think it blends in pretty well. And I'm using it just because I have it. I thought about just saving it for quilting, which I did use it on some quilting projects at Christmas time. But I feel like I should just use it on my piecing as well because I have it, and why not? And thread can be expensive. I mean, I guess the whole hobby can be expensive, but I'm just kind of at the stage where I just want to use what I have. So I'm like, well, I have this spool of thread. I might as well use it for piecing. And I think it's going to work out okay. I guess I should really examine better, but this is my second block that I've made using this taupe thread. And then I also used it for some machine quilting on some Christmas projects. And I thought it did okay. So, I mean, it does kind of, you kind of can see a little shadow there. I don't know if you can see that. And that is kind of dark. So, but now that I'm using it, I'm kind of like, well, I'm already invested. I need to just keep going. So let me press this with an iron. Okay, so I have the spoon and the small mixing bowl. And next step is to do the large mixing bowl. It says take F, which is the large piece of the bowl, and take A, which are these background squares, and then I'm going to sew them to the bottom of the bowl just like I did on that small bowl. Okay, so there's the large bowl. Now it says I need to get the stripe, which is H, and the top of the bowl. So it looks like this. Oh, you know what? I think I forgot a step. Hold on. I did. I'm going to put this on pause for a minute. So on this spoon, I need to attach C. So let me do that. So I need to attach this piece to the left and then assemble that mixing bowl. Okay, there is my baking day block. I think it turned out so cute. I really tried to pick fabrics that I loved in this when I was making these blocks or cutting out the fabric. So I think I love this block. So because I love the fabric kind of thing. So that's what I'm trying to get at here. But anyhow, here is the block from the book, and here is my block. Thanks so much for watching, you guys, and I will see you guys next week with another Lori Holt quilt block, and I am excited to be sewing these up. So 2 blocks done and many more to go. I think I have a total of 26 blocks I want to sew up. I'm super excited to get them sewn up and can't wait to see what the final quilt will look like. See you guys next time. Bye.